How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today you're thinking about moving to Colorado Springs in 2024? Well, let's talk about it, starting right now. Alright, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett, and listener. If you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to the Front Range of Colorado, Fort Collins to Colorado Springs to Pueblo, this is the channel for you. So that subscribe button and notification icon you see on your screen, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a little creative and informative here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the Front Range's most talented realtors. And we're helping people move here each and every day. So that number and email you see on your screen, know that I am always the person. Answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails. There, winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is moving to Colorado Springs in 2024. All right, so obviously we're going to talk about this later, but if you don't know already, Colorado Springs is home to the Air Force Academy, and all militaries have a little bit of a rivalry with them, so I had to make sure I represented the Navy, and the Navy, sorry Air Force kids, it's going to be okay. But first thing is the rich history of Colorado Springs. Founded in 1871, Colorado Springs had its gold rush period, it had its resort town period, and there are still some elements of that in the city, but just a rich history that goes back now 160 years, and obviously history before that, but that's when it was founded. Next up is just how beautiful parts of Colorado Springs are. And I'm not saying necessarily the city, I don't think the city's unattractive, but when you see Pikes Peak, when you see the mountain ridges, when you see the way the city just kind of resides along with the mountains, it's not the same as Denver. I think there are a few things that that look like Denver with the mountains behind it, but Colorado Springs is definitely pretty. Why am I stressing this so much? I don't know. I just got on this tangent and we're going down this rabbit hole together. The third thing you need to know is that Colorado Springs is all about its outdoor activities. Hiking, biking, camping, pretty easy. We'll talk about getting up ski slopes, but anything you want to do outdoors. It's home to areas like the Garden of the Gods, which is just a beautiful hiking trail nearby. Funny story, when my friend asked why they called it the Garden of the Gods years ago, he's from New York, so we'll give him a pass. And I simply explained to him, that's who made it. We're not even getting religious here. I'm just saying that was the comment I made. And his response was, even the parking lot? That's a Bronx education for you. Hey, Brandon, did you need to know that story? Probably not, but it's amazing nonetheless. Now, with this outdoor activity, you know, Colorado and Denver, we love to talk about 300 days of sunshine. And it's not technically true, but Colorado Springs falls in that wheelhouse as well. Colorado Springs being a couple hours south of Denver, maybe 2.5 if you're in traffic, the climate there is a bit more mild. It's a higher elevation, a bit drier, more desert than Denver. So you deal with less snow. Winters are going to be a bit less harsh than they would be in Denver. That's not to say that Colorado Springs doesn't get cold. It does, but it tends to get hotter in its summers and not quite as cold in its winters. Now, a big reason that Colorado Springs is as popular as it is, you know, currently and a growing population is because of the cost of living difference between Colorado Springs and Denver. So Colorado Springs, as of the making of this video, had roughly an 11% lower cost of living than Denver did. However, the jobs in Colorado Springs, on average, based on salary.com, only paid 3% lower than Denver. So you find a lot of people who, if they have the option between Denver and Colorado Springs, many of them are choosing Colorado Springs for that affordability piece. I feel like that's the fifth point I'm making in this video, and it's the first one where I actually sounded somewhat intelligent. So if you're still watching, I appreciate you. If we can't make fun of ourselves, what can we do? Now, some really cool things about Colorado Springs. I'll use the term vibrant. It's got a great downtown. Not too big, but big enough to where you have the amenities that you want to have. You can see, here's where downtown is. You've got your restaurants, your bars, a lot of shops, a lot of local and national businesses present in Colorado Springs, so a lot of options there. Then obviously you have a pretty sustained military presence in Colorado Springs. And that's not just because of the Air Force Academy, although that is a huge staple. And all jokes aside, I mean, the Air Force Academy is pretty damn impressive. And along with the Air Force Academy, you also have a very large Space Force presence in Colorado Springs. You have Peterson Space Force Base, you have Cheyenne Mountain. I have to admit, with all respect to Space Force, I just struggle to talk about Space Force with a straight face. I don't know, I'm an old man. May the Force be with you, Space Force. That's what I've got. I know their job's important. I'm just a crap talker, but a huge military presence. And Colorado Springs is also, I mean, naturally, because of that military presence, a huge and popular area for veterans. I think Colorado Springs does as good a job as any town in the country at taking care of veterans, setting them up for success, whether it's the resources, just showing them in general support, and then just showing them the respect that they deserve. And I'm not talking about me. I was a safe and sound submariner in the Navy, but I'm always impressed with communities that take care of their veterans, and Colorado Springs does it better than most. And as you would expect with a city that's been around for a long time and has seen a lot of growth, education and job growth are big in Colorado Springs. So you've got Colorado College down there, you've got UCCS for colleges, you're pretty close to universities in Pueblo. A lot of health programs in Colorado Springs. I have a lot of people who have moved here, and that has been kind of why they're going to Colorado Springs for different programs there. And then as far as job growth, that the town of Colorado Springs, not just military related, but in general, a lot of businesses going down to Colorado Springs, businesses growing down there. So you've had an economic boom and you've had education really increase over the last several years. And Colorado Springs really is highly regarded for some of its cultural attractions and for being family friendly. So among those cultural attractions are the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center and also the Pioneers Museum. The Pioneers Museum is a local favorite. Had a lot of friends mention that one. And I mean, with the family friendly, you have your numerous parks, you have museums, family oriented activities, different events throughout town. So, you know, a lot of community feel to Colorado Springs. It is a larger city in comparison to a lot of the other towns and suburbs of Colorado, but still you've got some of that small town feel and some of that family association to it. A couple things to know about the area. You certainly have a lot of different neighborhoods to take into consideration with Colorado Springs. A couple of the ones that were most popular were Old North End and then over to Modern Briargate. You're going to see there are areas of Colorado Springs that have been around for decades and decades and decades, and then a lot of new construction. A lot of that new construction you're going to see, again, moving east. I always talk about this, and it's pretty obvious. If you go west, you run into the mountains, so not a lot of room, but a lot of properties being built east of Colorado Springs. But every type of home that you could want to live in, you could find some older homes on bigger lots. You could find brand new construction, everything in between, luxury, modest, mid-level, townhomes, condos, I mean, you name it. You could be closer to the town, or you can really be out in the suburbs of Colorado Springs. It gives the whole gamut. And Colorado Springs is huge for its activity. Now, it's home for the Olympic Training Center. Big reason for that is because of the altitude. Athletes will come out to Colorado Springs, train at that center, train in that area. They're at high altitude, and then they go to wherever they are performing and usually take advantage of that. So it's a huge, you have that training center, obviously, and then outdoor activity in general in Colorado Springs is a big deal. And while this is not technically Colorado Springs, it's Manitou Springs, but the Manitou Incline, you're gonna hear about that if you come to Colorado, period. If you come to the Denver area, Manitou Incline, a long set of stairs going up a mountain peak there. So you do the stairs up, and then you can either do the stairs down, or there's a trail that people run down. But a great place to go for a workout, kind of a staple of living in the region that everybody at some point goes to the Manitou Incline. You'll want to check that out. And I think that Colorado Springs is also one of those places where you have some really cool scenic drives. The one that's going to come to mind for most people is taking the Pikes Peak Highway. That is for folks who don't want to climb the highest mountain in Colorado, but you can grab that highway, drive up Pikes Peak. Just gorgeous. The visuals you get, especially on a clear day where you can just see for miles and miles, gorgeous. And Colorado Springs is also home to some very cool historic sites. Among them, one of the most popular hotels in the entire country in the Broadmoor. Broadmoor is a gorgeous site, great golf course there. You also have the Manitou Cliff dwellings and you know, some other areas that will give you kind of that taste for local history. Plenty to see, plenty to do. And then within that community, you also have some different festivals, some different events taking place throughout the year. So with those, you'll have the Balloon Classic, you'll have the Pikes Peak, you'll have the Bust Rodeo, a few other things that occur during the year. So a lot of events, a lot of things to do. And I have to mention, because a lot of my friends who live down in Colorado Springs and clients who live down there wanted to make sure that people knew your access to get up to ski resorts is primo. So I've made videos where that's kind of one of the things that I didn't think about or didn't talk about, was how easy your access to getting into mountains, and especially for those winter activities that you want to. You're gonna have pretty easy access getting to ski resorts leaving Colorado Springs. Now, some cons to consider, the potential for wildfires. Colorado Springs had a pretty vicious wildfire just a few years back, and there's always the risk of that. Colorado, one, is a dry state. We've had some issues there. And then a lot of these higher desert-like climates, you know, it doesn't take much to light one. We've been lucky the last several years, but always a risk. From the people I talked to in preparing for this video, they also talked about limited public transportation in some areas. And the thought that you're going to have population increase in Colorado Springs. It's one of those places that is still growing. It's still very popular. You have a lot of people coming from out of state, and you have a lot of people from that Denver metro area, honestly, that are moving south. So Colorado Springs will continue to see population growth. That will, as it happens, affect your cost of living. It will impact your housing and affordability. It will impact traffic and congestion and that infrastructure aspect. So there are certainly some cons to considering Colorado Springs. Overall, it has been a place that a lot of friends and clients, colleagues have found to be a great place to live. I do say this, I would end with this note. A lot of times I will get calls. In fact, I got one last night from a gentleman that lives in New York, talking about moving to Colorado Springs. And him and his wife had enough experience in Colorado Springs to know about it. I think that if you're moving from a major city to Colorado Springs, that can be a pretty big swing. I mean, moving from a major city like a New York, a Chicago, a Los Angeles to Denver can be shocking, let alone a Colorado Springs. I think for anyone else, Colorado Springs gives a great mix between enough of a city to feel like you're not in the sticks, but not so big that you feel overwhelmed. Overall, it has been a very good place for dozens and dozens of people I know. And as always, I would love to get your opinions and your thoughts on Colorado Springs, and that's a perfect opportunity for you to hit me up with a phone call, a text, an email, knowing that I am always the person responding to those. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I am your host, Jimmy Everett. That was moving to Colorado Springs in 2024. Until I see you next time, peace.